All right. Welcome to the jungle, everyone. Let's see if we can get that a little more. There we go. Welcome to the jungle, everyone. I'm Kyle Phelps, and we're going to try something a little bit different this week. So, as many of you know, we finally hit 500 subscribers on the channel. I think we're up to 501 now. Whoop-de-doo. It's a big milestone for a small channel. And on that note, I did promise once we hit 500, I will try to put more content out just because I've been so busy lately. I haven't had the time, but this is my way that I'm going to try to do it right now. So one of my favorite things to do every week is predictions, and that's one thing that I think that maybe we can get going forward. Doing it in kind of a live context like this, I think makes it more doable. Typically, we do them as part of the Battle of Ohio podcast, but I feel like it might actually be a little bit easier if we do them this way. Also, it's just going to be me. We might have Thomas coming in sometimes, but in general, we're going to do it this way. I might try to get a better layout here, but for the most part, this is what we're going to try for a while and just see if we can get it to work. As a reminder, we also have a Pick'em League, which is pinned in the chat, and you can actually see it's the comment that I've highlighted down here. Feel free to join there, and basically the way we're going to do this every week is we're going to go through each game, and I'm going to give my thoughts on who I think is going to win and why, and then I'll put your comments up as you tell me who you are going to predict to win each game. Each week, we'll talk about how the league is going, and we'll just kind of have a good time with all of it, like, how's this team doing, how's that team doing, why do I think they're going to win or lose, basically stuff like that. And you tell me the same thing, we'll have a whole discussion about it. So I think it's going to be a fun new way to do predictions, and feel free to follow along if you're watching, and, let me know. If you're new, and you like the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, let's go ahead and get going. I see we already have some comments. Let me go ahead and see what everybody's going on here. Richard says, when I suggested this, I meant a video, but this works too, and I assume you're doing this with someone else. I'm not, Richard. Not right now. This is what I have. I don't know if you heard my intro, but this is what I have right now. Doing a video requires so much post-production, and I only have so much time right now. So I figured it might be fun if we all kind of do predictions together, more or less, right? Might try to have Thomas on more often or not, but, Thomas is busy, and part of the reason the Battle of Ohio podcast hasn't been as consistent lately is because it's just hard for us to kind of find time to come together like that. What's going on, King Bozo? Remember the Perna curse the Chiefs this week. Keep that in mind. I don't really care. I don't care, Richard. Although, you know what? I'll tell you what. I will keep it in mind in a certain way. I will keep it in mind. If the Chiefs lose to the Saints, then maybe I'll take the Perna curse into consideration each week. But I don't see the Saints actually beating the Chiefs. But if they do, then I'll start taking the Perna curse into account. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and not bother with that one. Has YouTube monetized yet? No. So we still got to get public watch hours up. That's the main thing. So I don't know if I can actually pull it up on the desktop here, but if I can pull it up on my phone real quick. Go to YouTube Studio. It's the public watch hours is the issue. So there's currently 500 subscribers. I think there's 501. I think YouTube Studio might be a little bit behind on that, but let's see. Currently at 2,277 public watch hours, which is up a little bit from a couple days ago, and I didn't put any content out, so that's a good sign, right? But we got to get to 3,000, and that's just about pumping content out, right? So for what it's worth, guys, I am going to still try to, I'm going to try to produce, at least one episode. Maybe not every week, but, hopefully, maybe, 2 a month or something like that right now. Once I'm out of school, which I'm in my final year right now, it'll be easier. We can maybe get back to the regularity of content we got before. But right now, it's going to have to be, I think, mostly live content. Maybe I'll try to produce, a regular episode here and there, right? So no, YouTube has not monetized yet. I'm not quite at that threshold yet. 500 subs is just, that's the that was my threshold for like, okay, you guys did your part, now I got to do my part. That's the way that I put it. Who's Perna? Love that clip. What? oh yeah, yeah. What was it? Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton. Was it? Yeah, that shit was funny because I forget. It was one of the live streams that Brandon Perna was. Or was it when I think it might have been Tom No, it was Perna. Brandon Perna decided to go raid Cam Newton, and Cam Newton I think was like, like fucking with Tom Grossi and everything like that was funny. And then like Brandon Perna raided him, and he was like, "Who the fuck is Perna?" That was a good time. I remember when that happened. I did not get a haircut, King, but well, I mean, like about a week ago, I suppose. I tend to keep my hair shorter these days. No, I got this hat on. This hat I got in Scotland. I've worn it a few times on the podcast or on the show before. Now it's not super common that I wear this hat, but I really like this hat. So the main reason I haven't been wearing it is because I got it in May, and I haven't really been doing a whole lot since May. And it's like a colder weather type of hat. Like can't really wear it in the dead of the summer. It's starting to get a little cooler, so I can justify wearing it a little bit more. Perna also cursed the Lolfins. The Lolfins. Sucks to be them. Reek out for the season incoming. Is Tua like out for the season? I actually don't even like Tua. I don't even know what's going on with Tua, but like Tua should be out for like the rest of his life. Like he needs to just stop playing football. He's gonna like he's gonna cause some like permanent damage that he can't come back from. I don't see any info. I just see a bunch of comments about him being on the sideline and stuff. Do we have any info? I don't know if there's any information about Tua playing at any point, but I personally I don't think he should anymore at all. But he's going to. He's going to do that. King Bozo is going to be right back. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you what my predictions are, and then you guys tell me what your predictions are going to be. And then I might try to have guests on from time to time to bring a little bit more dynamicism to the thing. But I mean, this is just an experiment we're doing right now. I don't really quite have everything down that I'm doing. I'm just trying to get this out, right? And then Stranger 420 was one of our most recent subscribers says, "Houday, let's go, Houday, Houday, baby." He's week to week, but he should really retire. Yeah, he really should. He shouldn't be week to week. He should be done playing football. Coach, bro. You love football, right? Go coach. Stop, I don't know. Like, I said he should retire after his last concussion, right? And he went out and got another one by colliding with Damar Hamlin's chest, by the way, which is just I think, cursed object at this point. Considering Damar Hamlin lived, I think we can joke about that now. You got the Steelers winning against the Cowgirls. We'll see, King Bozo. We'll see. I'm not going to give that away until we get to it. So let's go ahead and start. Obviously, it's Friday, so the Buccaneers and the Falcons already played. That's probably lucky for me, right? Because I would have picked the Buccaneers. No question I would have picked the Buccaneers to win that game. But Kirk Cousins showed up. Kirk Cousins, really solid quarterback. And this might be the first time we're really seeing it in Atlanta, him being a really solid quarterback. But point being, Kirk Cousins is a really solid quarterback. So I think that, if he can continue to be a solid quarterback for them, that'll really help them going forward. And Jesse Bates is down there. Like, it hurts my heart to see Jesse Bates playing so well for a different team. But at the same time, the Bengals were never going to give him the kind of guarantees that he wanted. So that was just like, that was a marriage that was doomed to eventually go nowhere. So, yeah. The Falcons, though, if this experiment they're doing right now works, then the Falcons might be dangerous going forward. So I'm glad Mikey's not here right now because he would be very upset with me for saying that. But it is true. I think the Falcons could be dangerous going forward if Kirk Cousins can actually be who they brought him in to be, and then their defense keeps playing like that, right? I said it on the Facebook group I was in. Let's see if I can move that chat. It's a little too far down. There we go. I said it on the Facebook group I was in. You would think they would take a page out of Andrew Luck's history and not push his luck behind that old line. He's already got severe brain damage from 4 concussions in 5 years. Yeah, it's pretty, it's bad. I don't. It's the reason why Andrew Luck retired, to be clear, is because and Andrew Luck has talked about this. The reason he retired is because he was just he was getting really like his mental health was doing badly because he was always recovering. He was always in rehab and everything like that, and he just got tired of doing that. I don't think it was so much just like a body preservation thing. I think it was more like he just didn't love the game anymore because he was constantly rehabbing. That was what happened with Andrew Luck, and that was what a lot of people speculated was going to happen with Joe Burrow, and that has not happened. And knocking on wood, hopefully that never happens. But that was what a lot of people were talking about with Joe Burrow, just because there was all the problems with the offensive line and all the issues like that. Tua, on the other hand, I think for like life-related reasons needs to retire. Like not because of like, you know, mental health. Maybe his mental health is great. I can't imagine with all those concussions. But you know what? Maybe his mental health is just on point. Maybe he's like doing all sorts of self-care and he's like, you know, got the spiritualism down and everything, and he's just ready to attack everything with. That's great. But like, bro, I can't imagine any doctors worth their salt are telling you that it's okay to continue playing football after you get 4 concussions in 5 years. Especially with like the severity of some of the concussions we've seen. Like, we literally, for the Bengals game, and I'm doing too much with this. We need to get into concussion. We need to get into predictions. But I mean, we saw with the Bengals game that like the guy was literally like his fingers were doing, I forget what it's called, but like, you know, he clearly had neurological damage in that hit with the Bengals. And he keeps playing football, and then he kind of did it again in his most recent concussion. Like, he's got neurological damage that's already there. Don't make it worse. Look at what happened to Junior Seau, Antonio Brown, and others. Yeah, I like you know, rest in peace, Junior Seau, of course. And Antonio Brown, as much of a knucklehead as he is, I kind of feel for the guy because, like, you know, I mean, like Antonio Brown was not a nut job before like Vontaze Burfict and that whole, like, you know, like he probably got like a major like personality changing concussion after that, because like Antonio Brown was a pretty quiet guy before that. Like, he was not the type that was like in the media and everything, and that was crazy. So I mean, like, that guy turned into a whack job. Yeah, it's just a personality changing thing that happened. Go Chains. to you know, segue away from the negative stuff we're talking about, of course. Saints trash anyway. Well, we'll see. The Saints have surprised me a little bit this year with like their offense, but I don't see it as being sustainable, and that's why I don't believe in the Perna curse this week. But I will give deference to the Perna curse going forward if the Saints beat the Chiefs this week. If that happens, whatever. Because I mean, the Perna curse like just shat all over the Bengals one time. I remember the Bengals got the Perna curse one time, and like I think Joe Burrow got hurt that week. Or we lost some incredibly huge game, and it was the worst. So I mean, I've seen it affect, but I just don't know if I want to like work it into my predictions. But if the Saints beat the Chiefs, I have no other explanation for that. So if you guys can tell what my, you know what, let's just go ahead. There's my analysis of that game. Let's just go ahead and put that down here, since we've been talking for like, I don't even know. 15 minutes at this point. We've been talking about for 15 minutes at this point. By the way, you guys can just see all my analytics here, I suppose. But we've been talking about it for 15 minutes at this point. I haven't made a prediction yet in this 15-minute thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all right now I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Saints. I would love to see the Saints do it, and if that happens, I'll have to work in Perna's curse wheel into my predictions going forward. I just can't imagine that's going to happen. But the Monday night game, I am predicting the Chiefs are going to win. Why? Because it's the fucking Chiefs, and they have the refs on their side. It's kind of hard to beat them that way. They're 4-0, and I don't know if they deserve to be 4-0, frankly. The Saints, yeah, they had that good start, but I didn't think that it was super serious when they got into that good start, and they haven't kept up with it since. So I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit before I believe anything with the Saints. Saints are not trash. I don't think they're trash. I don't think they're trash, King Bozo. I think they are overrated. I don't know if they're overrated now because they're 2-2, but I don't think that they're as good as Saints fans in particular were acting like they were going to be, you know? I made Troy Aikman made it out alive, but that man was getting folded with concussions in 99 and the 2000s. Yeah. Yeah, and he ended up being an announcer. So, I mean, like, you know, you can talk about his personality and whatever, but at the end of the day, it takes a certain amount of mental acuity. I can attest to this as somebody who does, like, you know, amateur commentating on these games. It takes a certain level of mental acuity to be able to consistently talk about what's going on and add value the way that... Now, Troy Aikman has a little easier than I do. Because, like, I do all these games by myself. If I had a color commentator with me, that would probably make my job a lot easier because I could, like, take breaks and I could, like, you know, respond. Or I could be, like, you know, the play-by-play guy and I could talk about, like, you know, whoa, you know, Derrick Henry rushes across the field, but he gets tackled by, like, Jermaine Pratt for a 15-yard loss. I had to throw that one in there. But, like, yeah, that'd be a lot easier if I could do, like, one or the other instead of having to do both. I like doing both, but it's hard. Like it's definitely a difficult thing to do. I can attest to that. Chris Benoit, worst results of CTE I know of. Yeah, Chris. I remember when that happened. When Chris Benoit unalived his whole family. Yeah, because it was unfortunate. Because I've never been a wrestling person at all, but I did sometimes kind of get into like the persona of some of the wrestlers. And Chris Benoit was one of the ones I liked when I was younger. And then that happened, and I was just like, "Oops, I made a bad decision." Okay, all right, never mind. Chris Benoit, bad guy. But then again, the CTE, like how much of that was really him? How much of that was just like whatever else was going on? How much? Yeah, maybe there was like they said at the time it was steroids that caused him to do that, and maybe it was a little column A, a little column B, like roid rage plus the CTE, and you just it's kind of hard to tell honestly when it comes to stuff like that. The NFL says they care about player safety, but they really don't at all. That's true. It's about how it makes them look. If they lose money, if their star player gets injured, why not pretend to care? Yeah, that's the thing. The NFL, with the weight of the NFL, like the NFL does not care. The NFL cares about making profit. Like honestly, and you can't even really get mad at the NFL for that because the NFL is a corporation, right? Or at best it's like a league. It's either like a corporated, it's an incorporated sports group or it's just a corporation in general. And corporations, not to get too political, but corporations are not people. So, like, I mean, you can't really get mad at the NFL for prioritizing profit because that's literally what a corporation is designed to do. But at the same time, it does seem super hypocritical, especially when the people who make up that corporation are acting like they care about player safety, and they really don't. Roger Goodell, in particular, is particularly reprehensible because he represents that corporation and acts like he cares about player safety, and then constantly takes these actions that makes it obvious they don't. Hey, Mikey's here. Mikey says Saints win 26-15. That's wonderful, Mikey. I actually already gave my prediction for the Saints-Chiefs game just because we happened to start talking about it. And I do not think that the Saints are going to win, unfortunately. I think the Saints are going to I don't. It could be a close game, but I think the Chiefs just have too many like factors. You know, I mean, it might be another one of those games where the Chiefs win off of a BS ref call at the end of the game. But I do think that the Chiefs are ultimately going to get the win. I fully blame the CTE on Benoit. The doc said he had the brain of an 80-year-old, 80 or 90-year-old with dementia. That makes sense. Like I said, at the time they said it was steroids, but it's probably just because that's what the understanding they had at the time was. Fiddlesticks. I don't think so, Mikey. Sorry. Don't remind me of the refs. Well, you're playing the Chiefs. You know, you're playing the Chiefs, so you're gonna have to contend with the refs. I'm sorry. That's just the rules. Like when you play the Chiefs, you're also playing against the refs. We all know it's a fact at this point. We all know this. Okay. Oh, boy. Whatever happened to the bidet? What? The bidet from Sunday's game against the Jets. I know it's not how you pronounce his name. Oh, but the announcer's mispronouncing his name to bidet is hilarious. Okay, so what? Who? I didn't watch the Jets. Hold on, let's bring that back up. I didn't watch the Jets game, so I don't know what somebody was pronouncing his name bidet. Who? That's fucking hilarious. Okay, well, anyway, we'll get back to that in a second. I want to go ahead and make some of these predictions. By the way, don't forget, I pinned the league in the comments, so go join the league and give me your predictions as we go through this list. But we're going to go ahead and go through this list. So we're going to start with the team that Richard was just talking about. Well, not the Saints, but we're going to talk about the team that Richard was just talking about, who apparently has a man named Bidet on the team. Which that's funny. But the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings. To me, I think this one's obvious. I think the Vikings are probably going to run away with this one. The Vikings offense with Sam Darnold has just been something else lately. And the Jets I don't think the Jets are any good. And I think Aaron Rodgers might be a little bit washed up. I think that Vikings defense and that Vikings offense has just been it's been one of the biggest surprises in the NFL this year. I think the New York Jets just don't have the firepower on either side of the ball to keep up with what the Vikings are doing right now. Now, to say, are the Vikings going to do that for the rest of the year? I don't know. But I do think that in at least for now, the Vikings are one of the teams to beat in the NFL, and the Jets are not. So we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can finally show up and be Aaron Rodgers, but I haven't seen it yet, and I don't see it going forward. Mikey agrees with me, saying Vikings 38-24. I might agree with you. I mean that's a pretty like high score line to predict. Like to predict that they're going to get 38 points is a lot. I don't think the Jets defense is that bad. But at the same time, like the Jets as a team are, I feel, bad enough that you could maybe justify saying that, right? Rodgers is washed. I don't want to say washed, right? Cause like I don't want to imply that like Aaron Rodgers is just completely done forever, but I do think that he's just not. I don't think he's going to be the same Aaron Rodgers ever again, basically, if that makes any sense. As far as the Vikings 38 goes, Vikings 38. The Jets defense has been all right this year. They only let the Broncos score 10. Of course, the Broncos offense is terrible. They only let the Patriots score 3. Of course, the Patriots, whatever. The Patriots offense is terrible. Like, we lost to the Patriots, but that was because the offense didn't show up. Right? The Patriots only scored 16 points. So, I think I can still definitively say the Patriots offense is terrible. They only let the Titans get 17 points. They did let the 49ers score 32 points. But, I don't know if it's going to be a super high. It's not going to be a super low scoring game. I do think the Vikings are going to win handily. 38 points seems like a lot, but, we'll see. Darnold out for blood seems like he is. This is the Sam Darnold revenge season. Saints might get Devontae Adams. I wouldn't count on it. Maybe. That'd be good for you guys. I don't know if it would move the needle enough, because obviously it hasn't moved the needle all that much in Las Vegas, right? But I wouldn't count on it. It doesn't seem like a big Saints type of move. Bidet was the Broncos player. He's temporarily paralyzed, but better. It was a huge scare. Oh, it was on the Broncos. Okay. Yeah, I must have missed that. But yeah. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next game. We got the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears, and I am not looking forward to this game. I mean, I'm probably not gonna watch this game, right? Like, I mean, the Bengals game, as you can see, is at 1 p.m., so I'm not gonna have it. I mean, I guess I could go back and watch this game, but I'm not gonna because it's the Panthers and the Bears. And I'll tell you one thing: I'll root my ass off for my boy Andy Dalton. I assume he's still starting, because I haven't seen any reason to think that he's not. But this idea that Andy Dalton was going to go out and he was going to like drop 6,000 trillion points every week is just completely unrealistic. Even against the Bengals' terrible defense, which, by the way, Andy Dalton did have an okay game, and the Panthers' offense had a better game than I think people probably expected. But at the end of the day, the Panthers, Andy Dalton, is going to be interesting. I do see 83% of people are picking the Chicago Bears, though. So, I don't know. Like, I think the Bears are kind of generally the better team than the Panthers, but I don't know. I don't really believe in the Bears, and I don't really know if I buy Caleb Williams just yet. We'll see if I buy Caleb Williams ever. And by the way, it's not a Caleb Williams thing. It's a Chicago Bears thing. I just don't know if I trust the Bears to develop a quarterback at all. So I think just partially, and this is not a fair way of predicting games. So I'm not going to say like if the Panthers cover the spread but lose, then I win or whatever. But considering 17% of people are picking the Panthers, and I think that's silly, I'm going to pick the Panthers. Just because like there's no way they are that far behind the Bears, who are not that great of a football team either. I don't know. I don't fuck with that. Mikey agrees with me. Mikey says Panthers going to win 32-27. I don't know about that. I mean that's I think that's a fair way to look at it. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring, so I'm thinking it's going to be more like 24-20, you know. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked either. Who's worse, the Bears or the Panthers? Both are awful. Well, technically the Bears are better considering their record. Bears defense will shred the Red Rocket. But Caleb Williams will probably keep them in it with poor rookie throws. I don't know. I think Andy Dalton will have a better game than you're thinking. I'm going to take the Panthers. All right. So, as with the Battle of Ohio podcast, I'm going to skip AFC North games. We'll come back to them later. Just because for me, those are the most fun ones to predict, right? And considering I'm, the majority of people watching my channel are going to be Bengals fans, maybe some Browns fans here and there. They're probably going to want to have the AFC games anyway, so I'm gonna do it like that for now. Tank Bowl 1. Well, it's one of them right now. I know you're a Saints fan, Mike. You're not. I think you're one of like maybe 3 Saints fans, right? Richard's a Patriots fan. Yeah, Richard's a Patriots fan. Majestic YT, who's somebody who's like, on and off a regular here. He's a Cowboys fan. A lot of people, particularly people in the chat, like the people who are here regularly, like you guys, King Bozo's a fucking Steelers fan, right? Like, I mean, it's a diverse cast. But as this is also a video that I'm hoping people watch after the fact too. In which case that would be mostly Bengals fans, because I advertise my show a lot on Bengals Facebook groups, and that's where I think a lot of my audience comes from. It's got to be U-Tree's first Tank Bowl. Dolphins at Pats. Lord have mercy. We sure it's not Panthers and Bears? I understand Dolphins and Patriots, but I mean, the thing is, like, I still feel like the Dolphins could end up being like competitive this year. They got to figure out quarterback, but outside of quarterback, the Dolphins don't have a horrible team. So I don't know. We'll see. But actually, on that, let's talk about Patriots and Dolphins. So who's going to win between the Patriots and Dolphins? Well, considering Tua's not playing, I think I kind of like from an X's and O's standpoint, not so much from like an overall standpoint, but just purely from an in-game X's and O's standpoint. I do think I like Gerard Mayo better than I like Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel is a good coach as far as like getting the best out of players in general, as far as like, being a development type of guy. But I don't know if Mike McDaniel is really a great head coach in general. I think he's, I think he's more of like a player guy. Like he's a true coach. Like he's a coach, not necessarily just like a manager. He's a coach. Unfortunately, to be a great NFL head coach, you have to be a manager too. And I think Gerard Mayo is a much better manager. So I'm going to give this one to the Patriots. The offense is wet noodles. Pat's offense is awful, but still better than the Dolphins. Y'all beat us. Do you see all those fourth down failed conversions on Monday? I did. Yeah, I know, but a part of it's like lacking Tua. That's the thing. Like that's what you got. Like if Tua was there, I think the Dolphins would be competitive. That's what I'm saying. And if they can get a little bit more out of quarterback, I think they can get it done. Saw the Patriots defense collapsed. Yep. All right. Next one, we got the Colts and we got the Jaguars. So the Jaguars did look a little better last week. They couldn't get the job done is the main thing. I guess my main question here is what's going on with Anthony Richardson. Is Anthony Richardson going to play? Because I know he got hurt. Looks like they're still so they scratched Jonathan Taylor. They're not sure on Anthony Richardson. So that's rough. That's really rough. Okay. Josh Hines Allen, is that Josh Allen, like the defensive end? Apparently he's questionable, so that's not good for the Jaguars either. But no Anthony Richardson, no Jonathan Allen. I'm going to say that probably gives the advantage to the Jaguars, who did look better last week. Now, again, Anthony Richardson might play, but it's kind of sounding like he probably won't. So I'm going to go with I'm going to pick the Jaguars to get their first win of the year in this week against the Colts. Mikey says 21-18 Colts. That's fair. It could be a low-scoring, crappy game because Trevor Lawrence throws a bunch of picks or something, right? Tua isn't much better even if he is an okay QB. I think Tua is better than an okay QB. I think Tua, when Tua's healthy and in a rhythm, I think Tua is like, I think Tua has been like, maybe not a, Tua has been on the edge of being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL at times in his career. If he can be healthy, then he can definitely be a top 10 quarterback. I think I've had him ranked at as high as like number 6 before, right? So I think Tua is a damn good quarterback, and we forget because he gets hurt so much. But I think people sleep on Tua a little bit too much. As long as Mike McDaniel's calling the shots and Flores is around, they'll be tanking for Manning. Well, yeah. Well, Flores is is in. He's doing a great job, by the way, but he's in Minnesota. So I'm not sure who you're referring to there. Yeah, Flores is in Minnesota. All right. Well, anyway, let's move along. We got the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. Two pretty solid teams who I think might be a huge bit overrated. The Texans could easily be 2-2 right now after almost kind of blowing what should be an easy one against the Jaguars. The Bills got walloped, and I mean absolutely walloped by the Ravens. Like, it was looking like at halftime the Bills had a chance to kind of maybe come back and do something interesting there. And then they didn't, and I think I stopped watching. Like, I think I was just like, I'm going to bed around the third quarter. So I was live streaming it. I was live streaming that game, and I was like throughout most of the stream, I just kept threatening to go to bed, and then eventually, like the Bills kind of made a comeback. It looked like they were going to do something interesting, and then they fell back apart, and then I actually did go to bed. But I think that might have just been the Ravens having a really good game plan for them. I don't know if it was so much them being a bad team. So I am going to actually pick the Bills on this one just because like I don't like what I saw of the Texans last week. And I think the CJ Stroud era in Houston is due to have a little bit of a course correction, if that makes sense, right? Like, I'm not saying it's going to be like, doom and gloom and they're going to go back to being the old Texans or anything. But I do think every time you have like a really great quarterback run early in his career, there's times when that gets reset a little bit and you kind of start thinking like you kind of start seeing, hey, maybe they're not like, the next big all-time golden child. And I think that's what we're going to see with CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans this year. It's like they're still going to be good. They're still going to be competitive. They're almost certainly going to make the playoffs, but maybe a little bit of, correction this year. And so I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this week is basically what I'm saying. I'm not sure who you were talking about, Richard. Maybe I don't know who is their defensive coordinator. Dolphins defensive coordinator is Anthony Weaver, he replaced Vic Fangio. Are you maybe thinking of Vic Fangio? Just because, Brian Flores and Vic Fangio, both well-known people, good defensive coordinators, but obviously not enough for them to keep Vic Fangio in Miami. I don't know. Maybe that, I don't know. I don't know if that's who you got him confused with. Texans 26-15, says Mikey. It's fair. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Bills are going to basically shake off what happened to them last week, and they're going to, it's going to be 38-30. What? No, I don't want to predict that because that's the Bengals score was against the Commanders. That's really lame. I don't know. How about 36-33? 36-33. Why not? Let's throw that in there. Why 36-33 Bills. I swear to God, if the Bills do beat the Texans 36-33, I'm going to come on here so cocky next week. I'm going to be like, what? Okay, I didn't predict every game right, but I, off the top of my head, got that score perfect. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to remember that I predicted 36-33. I also love that Hard Rock Stadium is 347 Don Shula Drive. Well, of course they're going to name the street after their legendary head coach. That guy coached them to a perfect record one year. Steelers 11-6. No, it's not happening, Mikey. They're not going 11-6. All right, Raiders Broncos. Okay, so God, this game's going to be awful, isn't it? This game is just going to be unfortunate. This game is going to be unfortunate. I'm going to say, Mikey says Raiders 26-19. I'm going to take the Raiders. I agree with you, Mikey, that they're going to win. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game, though. I think it's going to be 12-8. 8. What a weird number. I don't know, 12-6. How about 12-6? Are you gonna get a missed field goal from the Raiders kicker, which would be actually kind of weird, because he's a really good kicker. But I don't know why I'm feeling 12-6 in this game. It's gonna be a really low scoring, like that kind of game where I like watching defensive games, but this wouldn't be low scoring because of great defense. It'd be more so low scoring because of just bad offense, right? And that's not a fun way to watch a low scoring game. I think it's fun to watch low scoring games when the defenses are really, in their element and doing great. Not necessarily when the offenses just can't do anything because they suck, right? It's going to be like the New York game where they could only score field goals. It might be something like that, Richard. I mean, well, that's probably how the Raiders get to maybe instead of thinking that he's going to miss an extra point, maybe he's just the only guy who scores any points. You know, they score 4 field goals, and that's 12 points right there, right? So maybe that's what it's going to be. 12-6, yeah. And then the Broncos only score field goals too. God, that would just be awful. That would just be terrible. What's the difference between bad offense or good defense? Well, obviously, good defense is going to precipitate bad offense, and then vice versa. But the main thing is like when the defense is actually clicking, right? When the defense is actually playing well, when the defense is like they're reading the offense, they're making great plays to like knock balls down, or they're like rushing the passer well or something like that. As opposed to bad offense, which is more like, you know, you just like you can't connect on throws. Like dudes are just dropping the ball out there, or the quarterback just doesn't know where to throw to anything just because he's not really paying any attention. And what I more so mean by it's just it depends on who's making, you know, who looks like they're out there and like a good defensive game looks like the offense out there like can't get a whole lot done, but you know they're really busting their ass and they're trying to put stuff out there, and the main thing is the defense is just out there making great play after great play after great play, whereas opposed to bad offense is what I'm expecting in this game, which is Aiden O'Connell and what's his name, Bo Nix just can't connect with their receivers. That's basically what I'm expecting in this game. Like the Saints defense, I suppose. All right, moving on. We got the Cardinals and the 49ers. You saw we cut A.T. Perry, who wore 17. I didn't. No, I also didn't know he wore 17. Arizona Cardinals and San Francisco 49ers. All right, well, so I appear to be, I don't know why, but I've always been in the minority of people who just doesn't buy the Cardinals ever, any year. Like, ever since Kyler Murray got drafted to Arizona, every year people are like, oh, the Cardinals are going to be, you know, competitive this year. Or they're, like, in a few years, they're going to be, like, a contender, et cetera, et cetera. And I've just never bought the Cardinals. So I'm taking the 49ers here, and I'm not really going to do a whole lot of analysis because, like, I don't feel like I need to. I feel like the Cardinals are just not a very good football team. Every once in a while, they'll have a game that, like, looks better than it should be, but Mikey says the Cardinals are going to win 15-14, and I just, nope. I don't see that. TCU sucks. Do they? I don't know. I'm not a college football guy. I don't know what TCU's doing right now. I know they were like number 4, and they made the college playoffs a few years ago. Got their ass beat by Michigan, but, you know, I remember that happening. All right, so you got the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams. I see 84% of people are picking the Packers and only 16% are picking the Rams, which seems odd to me. I mean, I honestly have not really been following the Rams this year, so maybe, you know, this is just me not. Maybe the Rams are just really bad and I didn't know it. But I don't know. Let me see. Lost the Lions, Cardinals, and Bears, and they beat the 49ers. So I don't know. Are they that bad? I don't know. Okay, so again, I don't know too much about the Rams, so maybe I'm like not paying attention enough from the Rams. But what I saw from Jordan Love last week in the Packers was that Jordan Love was not ready to come back and he got rushed back. He should not have come back as early as he did, and I think the Packers, you know, not only lost the game, but are I think potentially going to cause problems long term. If Jordan Love wasn't ready to come back, you took the risk on bringing him back, and I don't know if that MCL sprain or whatever it was isn't completely healed, then that's potentially problematic going forward. So I worry that Jordan Love came back a little too early for the Packers, and I think they did that because, like, you know, everybody was freaking out, oh my God, and then Jordan Love comes back so quick. They're like, it was okay, nothing bad happened. Well, remember when we did that with Joe Burrow, and it turned out it was a lot worse than you thought? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the fact that the Packers brought Jordan Love back as quickly as they did. So I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to take the Rams, and it's because I think we're going to get another bad Jordan Love week. Basically, is what I'm predicting. How is that not? Okay, whatever. Mikey says the Packers are going to win 39-19. So clearly, you're disagreeing with me about Jordan Love. You think Jordan Love's going to be back and he's just going to be completely the same player. It's just like the injury never happened, basically. My Tuesday night football prediction was Buccaneers 19-15. Well, yeah, I obviously I didn't make my prediction because I didn't do the stream early enough because Thursdays are bad for me. I have to work all day on Thursday. So basically I have class all day on Mondays, which is actually a day I can maybe do like some script writing or something for the channel because like I've got a lot of free time in there. But because I'm at school all day on Mondays, I have to work all day on Thursdays to make up for it. So it's very difficult for me to do any sort of video creation of any kind on a Thursday. I mean, I can maybe stream on a Thursday, right? But like making a video, there's no way because I at work I have no access to Adobe or recording of any kind. I definitely can't record in the bank. That would be crazy. So Thursdays are rough for me. Yeah. One thing I will say with the 500 subs threshold reached, I might consider trying to do at least one more game stream each week, just because those seem like they tend to be pretty popular. So might try to do something like that. I don't know which game. It would probably fluctuate, based off of like what game's important for the Bengals or something like that. But might do an extra stream every week. I don't know. As far as that goes, definitely going to be doing these predictions though every week though, because at least for a while, if it totally bombs and it sucks, then maybe we'll do something else. But I'm gonna try to do it this way for right now, just because I don't have time. Like Richard was saying, I don't have time to produce an episode like a standalone episode like that right now. Maybe after school's over, but right now it's got to be a live thing if we're gonna get predictions out, basically. All right, well, looks like we're kind of almost done with some of these. So we got the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle, which I think makes a bit of a difference. Like, and let me be clear, what I mean by that is I'm just really not super sold on the Seahawks as like a team that's like, yeah, they're 3-1. I don't know if I think it's going to continue with that level of success. But I will say I don't like the Giants at all. The Giants are a very bad football team, and I hesitate a little bit to be as emphatic about saying that because we play them next week, and I don't want to have the bad karma back on me like that. 17-15, huh? Interesting. Yeah, well, I'm gonna pick the Seahawks because I just don't believe in Daniel Jones at all. Geno Smith, I don't know if it's gonna stay good, but again, it's the Giants. Giants are bad, guys. Giants are bad, and until I see otherwise, I'm just gonna ride the fact that I just don't buy the Giants. Okay. All right, so that is all of those games. Now let's move on to the AFC North games. So I guess we'll go ahead and start with the game I kind of teased at the top a little bit. We got the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now this is interesting. It depends on which version of the Cowboys we get, right? Because, this is the Cowboys team that damn near came back and beat the Baltimore Ravens, right? Like, the game wasn't going super great, but if they could come and play a full game, I don't think the Steelers can stop them, frankly. Because, if they can get a decent amount of offense going, and they don't even have to get much offense going, just a decent amount of offense, then they can outscore the damn Steelers, Now, the question is that going to happen, right? Are the Cowboys actually going to outscore the Steelers? Because the Steelers have pretty damn good defense. Let's not mince words about that. But, they did let the Colts score 27 points last week. Other than that, the Steelers' defense has been incredible, but they did look a little vulnerable last week against the Colts. Mikey says Steelers 19-16. I don't know, my gut, and this, I don't know if there's some sort of bias going on there or not, I don't know, but my gut tells me that the Cowboys are going to win this game. but my brain is telling me that I should pick the Steelers. Because like trusting the Cowboys is a bad idea in most situations. Cowboys are just not a reliable football team at all. And the Steelers are reliable. Like you got to give them that. Like they're not fun to watch. Like that Steelers offense is rough. Their best game came in a loss against the Colts, right? But that defense is something else in Pittsburgh. You got to give that defense credit. And then Mike Tomlin versus Mike McCarthy. Clearly, Mike Tomlin's the better of the two coaches. So, like, my head tells me to pick the Steelers, but my gut tells me that, like, you know, that the Cowboys showed something against the Ravens. And, you know, they also showed something not so great against the Giants. And I don't know. It's tough to say. I'm kind of conflicted here. Mikey says Steelers. I don't know. I don't want to pick the Steelers, but it might make sense to pick the Steelers. Let's see. The Cowboys so far, they walloped the Browns week 1. That was pretty funny. Then they beat the Giants, but not convincingly. Got walloped by the Saints, and then they almost had a comeback against the Ravens, but couldn't quite pull it off. I will say, though, if the Cowboys do pull off that win against the Ravens, then, you know, we're talking about a Cowboys team that's maybe not all that reliable, but they're 3-1, you know? And obviously they're not. They're 2-2. But if the Steelers are 3-1 and the Cowboys are 3-1, it's a much different feeling that you get going into this game, right? So, I don't know. I'm going to go with my head. My head tells me the Steelers are going to win this game. And perhaps that's me protecting my heart a little bit, because if I turn out to be wrong, well, good news, the Steelers lost. So I'm okay with being wrong, right? Maybe that's what I'm, you know, like subconsciously doing right now. I don't know. But I do, my head says that the Steelers are just a more reliable football team. Mike Tomlin is a far better coach. Leagues and leagues and leagues better than Mike McCarthy. Dak Prescott and Justin Fields, with the way that Justin Fields at least played last week, that one might be a bit of a toss-up as far as, like, which quarterback you buy in this game. But then again, that Steelers defense maybe, like, you know, tips the edge a little bit. I suppose it depends, you know, can that Cowboys defense be what the Cowboys defense was supposed to be this year? I don't know. It's tough. But unfortunately, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, you know, Cowboys, I'm not a prophet. Y'all can prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Can't have the Steelers winning any football games. You know, no offense, King Bozo, but you know how it is. All right, so Browns Commanders. I don't really have to think about this one too hard. The Browns have just been a disaster lately. Deshaun Watson has Mikey says fuck the Cowboys. Fair enough. Deshaun Watson has been a disaster lately, especially with how well Baker Mayfield's been playing. I think I've talked to enough Browns fans. They're ready to riot. They're ready to, you know, kick somebody out. Some of them are ready to kick Deshaun Watson out. Some of them are ready to kick Kevin Stefanski out. Some of them are ready to kick both out. I've been trying to get some time to talk with Thomas on the Battle of Ohio podcast, because he's got a lot of stuff to say about it. Like he wants to lay into the Browns. He's mad and he wants to talk. We haven't really been able to connect, but hopefully we will before too long. But just, I mean, with the Commanders and the way their offense has been, Jaden Daniels looks like he might be the next big thing in the NFL. I'm going to take the Commanders because I have no faith in the Browns right now, and the Commanders just look really damn good, you know? Mikey says Browns 15-14. I don't know about... The reason I don't know about that is because, like, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I do think the Browns' offense is going to show up, but I think it's going to be, like, 34-24 or something like that, right? Because, like, that Commanders' defense isn't good, y'all. They're 3-1 because Jaden Daniels has been going off. That's the only reason, you know? Joe Burrow and the Bengals scored 34 points against them, but they scored 38. Or was it 33? I think it might have been 33. But either way, like, the Commanders are not 3-1 because of their defense. Like, I promise you that. The Commanders' defense is bad. But their offense is so good, it doesn't seem to matter that much. So, I'm going to take the Commanders. All right. And then my favorite game every week to predict, Bengals And this week they're going to be is hosting the Baltimore Ravens. I swear to God, I thought we were away this week. Yeah, I guess we're hosting the Baltimore Ravens this week. So, I think when I did my season predictions, I think I had the Bengals losing this one but like still splitting with the Ravens. I think they win later, but I had them losing this one. Mikey says Ravens 24-15. I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one, and it's just because there's a few factors, right? And by the way, I just want to get it out of the way. If the Bengals beat the Ravens, season saved. I know it's only 2-3, but then the Ravens are 2-3, and then the Bengals have the tiebreaker over them, and then they also have a tiebreaker over the Browns because that they have a better division record, even though it's only one game. But then also we play the Browns in a couple weeks, and we can get right back on track. And if the Steelers don't continue winning all their games, then the Bengals season is saved, right? So beat the Ravens, but that's not why I'm predicting a win. I'm not predicting a win because I need them to win, and I do. But I'm predicting the win because Lou Anarumo has generally done a pretty good job against Lamar Jackson. A lot of Lamar Jackson's best highlights against the Bengals came before Lou Anarumo was the defensive coordinator here. There's this thing going around. Lamar Jackson has an 8-2 record against the Bengals, but let's break that down, right? Lamar Jackson's been in the league since 2018. Joe Burrow's been in the league since 2021. I would argue for the Bengals, like who the Bengals are in 2024. Anything that happened before 2021 is irrelevant. So you want to talk about you got this great record against the Bengals, cool, but it doesn't matter if it's the Andy Dalton era Bengals. That doesn't matter as far as any relevancy to this current era of the Bengals. Lamar Jackson's record against the Bengals, I think, is 3-1 since the Joe Burrow era started. Lamar has missed a couple games. Or is it? Yes, I think it's 3-1. That could very easily be 2-2, and it probably should be 2-2. Because don't forget, the last time the Ravens and the Bengals played each other, Joe Burrow got hurt on the play where he threw a touchdown for the Bengals to go ahead. The Bengals were the better team going into that game, and the Bengals likely would have ended up winning that game if Joe Burrow, if his wrist does not snap. So again, not necessarily relevant to this year, but just to be clear, in the Joe Burrow era, Lamar Jackson really, frankly, should be 2-2 against the Bengals. So this whole idea that he's got the Bengals number, let's just wipe that off the board. That's not a real stat. That's a fake stat based off of questionable at best information. Let's just ignore that entirely. The concern going into this game for a lot of people, and the reason why the Ravens are picked 84% and the Bengals are only picked 16%, is because the Ravens' offense, particularly their running offense, is really good, and the Bengals' defense, particularly their running defense, is really bad. But why has it been so bad? It's been really bad because the defensive line's been banged up to shit and back this season. The Bengals are getting a lot of their defensive players back, the defensive line players back in this upcoming week. They've actually confirmed B.J. Hill, McKinley Jackson, who's a rookie that we drafted in the third round, and Miles Murphy, the defensive end, who he's in a rotation with Sam Hubbard and kind of needs to be because Sam Hubbard might be hurt himself and also might be kind of losing a bit of a step. But so that's the thing. So the Bengals are going to have a relatively healthy defensive line to go up against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, etc., etc. Bengals historically have never had a big problem with Derrick Henry. They've generally done a pretty good job of stopping him. So going up against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, I do think that the Bengals have a pretty good chance of doing that Lou Anarumo thing where they try to contain the run, don't necessarily focus as much on stopping the run, but what they really do is they throw as many confusing things as they can at Lamar, and they're like, if we can contain the run and force Lamar to throw the ball, then, Lamar is liable to make mistakes. And that right there is the formula. If the Bengals can put that formula together, especially with the Ravens defense that's kind of up and down, and the Bengals offense is definitely coming up lately. I think, especially at home, I think the Bengals have a really good chance to take down the Ravens. So I am going to predict that the Bengals win this game. I also really need the Bengals to win this game, so you can accuse me of being biased if you want, and that's fair, but let's see what actually happens when the game comes to play. All right? So that's pretty much all I got for predictions then this week. I'll go ahead and catch up with these comments, and then I'll go ahead and head up on out of here. All right? Mikey says the Saints will win. Don't think so. I mean, look, Mikey, you weren't here when we were talking about it, but Richard was talking earlier about. See if I can. I don't know if I can find it now, but wait, here we go. Yeah. Richard mentioned at the very beginning of the stream that Brandon Perna cursed the Chiefs this week, and Brandon Perna's curse wheel is has a very good record. So. Which is insane because it's randomization, but whatever. Brandon Kerner's purse wheel does have a reputation for being right more often than it's wrong. I'm not going to base my predictions off of that because I try to be analytical, right? But I'm not going to lie. If the Saints do somehow, bring your comment back up, if the Saints do somehow beat the Kansas City Chiefs this week, I will admit maybe Perna's curse wheel has something, and so at the very least, maybe it would help me break a tie if I'm unsure. Then again, I don't know if it would. There's definitely not a tie between the Saints and the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I'm sorry, Mikey, but the Chiefs have the refs on their side. You're fighting a losing battle. I hate to break it to you. What did Rashee Rice do to make Mahomes that mad? Hit and run on the highway, probably. That whole nonsense. Yeah, Rashee Rice caused a pile up on the interstate and then fled the scene because he had an ounce of weed on him or something like that. Or I don't know. To be clear, I'm not an expert on the situation, so I'm not trying to spread misinformation if I'm wrong about that. By the way, go look it up what happened, but he definitely caused a pile up and he definitely fled the scene. So I don't feel bad for Rashee Rice. I'm not the type to sit here and root for players to get injured and stuff like that. But I will say, when dudes who've got karma coming for them, when they get hurt, I cry a little less for them. I'm not sitting here trying to root for anybody to get hurt necessarily. This is these guys' livelihoods, and everybody has a right to work, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, when shitty people have shitty things happen to them, I'm just saying you cry a little bit less, right? Well, what's up, Connor? Sorry you're coming in a little late here, but yeah. If you have any predictions, let me know. Curse the Cowboys in week 2. Okay, all right. You know what, Mikey? You know what? I will take it into consideration if the Saints win this week. Seems pretty unlikely to me, but anything could happen, right? I didn't see the Saints just absolutely pooping all over the Cowboys back in week 2, to be fair. Yeah, it was funny because Mahomes Mahomes tackled him too. I mean, obviously it was an accident. Mahomes came out later and talked about how he was sad that happened and everything like that. Wasn't trying to do anything. It'd be weird if he was, but yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy that it happened that way. Connor says Bengals 24, Ravens 34. That's fair prediction. That's a fair prediction. The only reason I push back against that is that the Bengals offense has been really good. And the Ravens defense hasn't been terrible, but it's been bad in certain situations, right? So I feel like it's going to be a high scoring game. If the Ravens win, it's going to be a high scoring game. If the Bengals win, it could go either direction, right? The Bengals could win 31-17, or they could win 34-33. Mikey says our defense won't stop Baltimore. They've done it before, Mikey. They've done it before with similar personnel. So I wouldn't count it out. Partially is because Lou Anarumo wrote the book on how to stop Lamar Jackson, and that book is contain the run and force him to throw and make mistakes. And the Bengals that's what the Bengals defense is built around doing. You could almost say the Bengals built their defense to stop Lamar Jackson. Everyone says we built our team to stop the Chiefs, but the fact of the matter is the way that they built the defense is the perfect formula for beating Lamar Jackson. So, who did they really build the defense to beat? You tell me. So confident going into Kansas City. Well, you know what? I hope you do win, Mikey. I hope I have to consider the curse wheel every week going forward. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Actually think you can win? I mean, you can win. The Saints can win. Of course they can win. They dropped 44 points against the Cowboys, right? Of course they can beat the Chiefs. My concern is that the Chiefs are a really talented football team. The Saints have been kind of backsliding a little bit those last couple of weeks. And you're also going up against the refs. That's my whole thing, you know? But anyway, I don't even know how long we've been going at this point. Looks like over an hour. We don't need these things to be an hour. See, that's part of the problem. I don't know. I do like doing live streams though. Live streams are one of my favorite things to do on this channel. So I don't know. We'll see how it works going forward. But anyway, I appreciate y'all showing up. Mikey, Connor, Richard, everybody else who was here. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights at the beginning. King Bozo, Stranger 420. Like, yeah, everybody showed up. I appreciate you showing up and, making these live streams fun. We might, I'm definitely going to keep doing live streams and probably going to keep the predictions in a live stream type of format. I will try to get out to putting out regular content going forward. Right now, this is the best I got. So just bear with me for a little bit. This is the best I got. I'm just trying to do something, right? But anyway, I appreciate y'all showing up. And I think the Bengals have a really good chance. If they do lose to the Ravens, it's going to be looking really rough. Really rough if they lose to the Ravens. But if they can beat the Ravens, season saved. So let's see what happens. Y'all can always catch more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Phelps, at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter or X or whatever, and TikTok, which I also haven't been as active on lately, but you can go see stuff that I put up on there. That's all still up there. I should probably fix this, right? Because I'm not really doing anything with Butt Fumble Sports these days. Not a whole lot of work there lately. So I might take them off of the thing there. I kind of want to update all of this anyway, especially if we're going to be doing like more live format type of things. Might be better to like come up with a better overlay than this, but I felt like for kind of like a spur of the moment type of thing, it was a pretty decent little overlay there. I'm about to play the outro for you guys. The outro is also going to be updated at some point because it is like from my first season doing this, and it's got all sorts of old information on it and whatever, right? But anyway, point being, that's going to be it for me tonight. So I'll leave y'all as always with a hooday, hooday, motherfuckers.